Well, guys, I hope that you are ready to meet the female James Bond because, of course, this is the direction that Hollywood is continuing to try to go in with this franchise. They have been hinting at for years now at this point that they are ready to embrace a new path forward for James Bond, or should I say Jane Bond. It is no longer going to be James Bond. They want to get rid of the male stereotype and they want to embrace a fresh new look at the character. And this, of course, has continued to receive a lot of pushback, and rightfully so. And everything just continues to get crazier and crazier around this entire situation. No one wants a female James Bond, but Hollywood continues to try to push it because, of course, they are. James Bond is one of the last heroes that they have their sights on to destroy, and they want to try to make that happen. But today, just out of nowhere, with an absolutely epic twist that no one saw coming, one of the Bond girls herself, Gemma Arterton, has now come out to just absolutely annihilate, obliterate, decimate this entire narrative of a female James Bond in the most epic way imaginable. This is absolutely fantastic stuff. So we're gonna get into this today and see what Gemma has to say about this. This is just amazing, and what she says here is so brutal, so visceral, that I was left shocked by what she said. So let's get into this and see what she has to say here. She, of course, played in 2008's Quantum of Solace, so a fairly recent James Bond movie, but she, unlike her co-star, Daniel Craig, who has continued to push the idea of a female James Bond, she has gone in the opposite direction because she isn't a woke cuck like Daniel Craig is, and she is, of course, saying that this is all complete nonsense. In an interview with the New York, or not the New York Times, the Times, I guess. There is no New York here, apparently. Arterton argues, isn't a female James Bond like Mary Poppins being played by a man? Which is a really good point. Can you imagine the outrage if they were like, we're going to get rid of Mary Poppins and instead we're going to have Marvin Poppin, guys? That, of course, would never, ever happen. They would never do a thing like that. And so because of that, we should also be saying that we should never have a Jane Bond either. So they talk about it, but I think people would find it too outrageous. And she is 100% correct about that. Sometimes you just have to respect the tradition. I don't regret doing a Bond film, but I am perplexed why it has followed me around. I was only in the film for 5 minutes. Well, maybe it's because you have base takes such as this that goes completely against the grain of Hollywood. And there's probably people in Hollywood that are especially part of like their DEI programs there that are very upset that you are speaking out in this way. Gemma is only the latest Bond girl to make this sort of statement. As our editor-in-chief Spencer Bakuli reported back in 2022, Anna de Armas also pushed back at the concept of gender-swapping James Bond. In an interview, she stated, "There's no need for a female Bond. There shouldn't be any need to steal someone else's character, you know, to take over." The actress continued, "This is a novel and it leads into this James Bond world and this fantasy of that universe where he's at." But the former Bond girl didn't stop there. She also pointed out that if studios were serious about female representation, they'd make a new character instead of just gender swapping. What I would like is that the female roles in the Bond films, even though Bond will continue to be a man, are brought to life in a different way, that they're given a more substantial part and recognition. That's what I think is more interesting than flipping things, which she is completely correct about that. And it's insane because the fact that they are continuing to try to push this nonsense of a female James Bond continues to get shut down time and time again. And now Gemma Arterton is the latest Bond girl to come out to say, no, this is completely ridiculous. No one wants this, and we need to just stop with this narrative and just get back to reality, okay? And the reality is that nobody wants a female James Bond, and this whole idea is completely ridiculous in every way possible, down to the minutia of the character of James Bond. It makes literally no sense whatsoever. Sometimes you just have to respect the tradition. Isn't that truly one of the biggest problems with Hollywood these days? They truly do not respect the tradition of any story whatsoever. Let me know what you think about what Gemma Arterton says here about this whole dumb concept of a female James Bond. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you all in another video very soon.